Supports.
So the bill inserts a new definition of NDIS supports, which will provide clarity around what can be authorised as funded under the scheme. Currently, there is no definition in the Act, and this is an important change that links the constitutional basis for the scheme to access and planning arrangements and what types of supports are appropriately funded under the scheme. The new definition refers to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, commonly known as the UN CRPD, as well as the social welfare constitutional power. Those are constitutional powers that are currently set in the Act. The definition of NDIS supports is relevant when making access decisions, undertaking eligibility reassessments, approving a plan, determining what participants can and cannot spend their NDIS funding on. The change is consistent with the NDIS review recommendations around taking a needs-based approach to planning and budget setting. It's also consistent with the review's recommendations around prioritising evidence-based supports that will lead to a more predictable and manageable scheme. While this amendment to the Act enables future changes through rules, it's important to understand that the new rules are made applying the existing arrangements in terms of what is the responsibility of other service systems set out in the existing applied principles and tables of supports, otherwise known as APTOS, that will be used to determine what is and is not an NDIS supports. These rules will be developed over time with the disability community and states and territories as a priority.
Thank you, James. James, can you now share with us the changes to access?
There's a number of changes in the bill to how access to the scheme would operate in the future. The first change relates to how people enter the scheme, and this is to require the NDIA's access decision to record if a participant has satisfied the disability requirements through Section 24 or the early intervention requirements through Section 25 of the Act, or both. So participants can receive the supports and services most relevant to them. Currently, prospective participants only are advised of an access met or an access not met decision. In future, this change will ensure participants who are streamed into the early intervention pathway can receive a unique planning experience and funding outcomes which will ensure that they will receive evidence-based best practice early intervention programs. The NDIA will create big pathways in consultation with people with disability and the broader disability community. The real impact of this change will be experienced by participants and prospective participants following the development and implementation of the distinct pathways, which will take some time. Rules will allow clarity to people with disability about whether their support needs are best met through the NDIS mainstream services systems or new foundational support systems that were agreed to through the National Cabinet decision in late 2023 to be developed. There are also some broader changes to access around eligibility reconsideration. New rules will make sure the NDIA can check progress and update participant status. This is particularly important for young children who are accessing early intervention supports. The whole point here is to invest early so they benefit from investment and do not need as much support later in life, consistent with the objects of the Act. The NDIA is not getting current information to determine whether people still meet access at eligibility reconsideration, and this means people are continuing to receive funding for supports when they may no longer need it. It's not uncommon for participants to become unable to contact the NDIA after learning about an impending eligibility reassessment. This is a matter that's been picked up through the Fraud Fusion Task Force, where they've identified people who are intentionally avoiding contact with the NDIA and are continuing to access funds that they would not be entitled to otherwise if they were reassessed. The bill also makes the process for eligibility reassessment based on the information in terms of what is needed and when this will occur to be much more clearer. If a participant does not want to provide the information requested within a specified time period, for example, 90 days or longer, the NDIA has discretion to revoke a participant's status. The NDIA, of course, would only do this in instances where there is not a valid reason for the delay in providing this information. The NDIA They will only revoke a participant's access if they're repeatedly refused to engage with the NDIA and following repeated attempts by the NDIA to participate to provide the requested information. It will not happen, for example, if a participant is struggling to access a treating health professional to provide that advice because of wait lists.
Thank you so much, James. Lots of information that's come through there, and I'm sure that it's generating a lot of thought amongst our participants today. So please don't forget to post those questions online in our Menti tool or using the QR code there on the screen to jump online.